welcome to the Data Democracy. Presented by renowned O'Reilly author Ole Olesen-Bagneux. Empowered by Xenia. Make your data accessible and discoverable by anyone, anywhere, at any time.
Hi everybody, I'm Ole Olesen-Bagneux, Chief Evangelist in Xenia, and the author of the Enterprise Data Catalog published by Relic. On the Data Democracy, I have conversations about new trends in data and AI with pioneering data practitioners and data leaders. Today's guest is Amy Raygada. Amy is an advocate and data mesh MVP worldwide in the data mesh learning community, and we met at the Data Innovation Summit in Stockholm, where we discussed for a long time. Amy came from software engineering and moved to data engineering, but made the move early. I suggest you listen to hear why. My 3 takeaways are: first of all, bridging business and IT is a very difficult art, but if you master it, you can move your career in many directions, just like Amy has done. That is really an important bridge to understand, often misunderstood. So my second takeaway: Amy used Excel to manage a data dictionary for mainframe management. That was more than 10 years ago, and we can laugh at it, but it's very important to remember the heritage that we all have as IT practitioners, because it's very educational and helpful in today's problems. Perhaps not in terms of the technological solutions, but the problems we faced. My third takeaway: the era of highly expensive data tools for a few select and equally highly paid data engineers is over. That era is over. If data tools do not democratize data, they will vanish. Companies are no longer willing to pay for that. The economy is changing, and if data tools do not democratize data, then they will not be there around for a long time. Okay, enough of me talking. Let's hear what Amy has to say. Hi, Amy.
Hey, Ole.
It's so nice to have you on. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here today. I've been following you for quite some time, so for me, it's actually an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And likewise, we've exchanged ideas for a while, and I'm happy to have you on. For the listeners, do you care to explain a bit about where you're based, what you do?
Yes, of course. Well, I'm based in Germany, but I'm originally from Costa Rica. I've been working basically on IT for more than 15 years now, but I started more in software development, quality assurance, and then I moved to data around 2013. And I was working there as a database analyst, more like the DBA at that time, before it was a data engineer or something like that. And then I moved towards, data engineering, data quality engineering, data product management, and data governance manager as well.
Okay. Interesting. And you're based in Munich, is that it?
No, I'm based in Leipzig, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been here for 5 years. I live 1 year in Munich, but I rather hear the vibe is a little bit, more hipster in a way, and a lot of students, so it's quite nice. I like it.
Yeah, sure. I like Munich as well, but anyway, both cities are great. Okay, I guess we can jump right into it. I mean, I've had guests on, and generally, I think many people made the move discovering data mesh, right? And being really interested in seeing, okay, everything I learned in software engineering, in terms of agile practices, Scrum, DevOps, etc., all that can be applied for data as well. And that was really something that a lot of people understood with the data mesh movement. But you made the movement or the transition a little earlier than that, right? In 2013. Yeah. And so exactly. What made you transition into data at that stage?
Yeah, it was quite interesting, actually, because my journey with data, I will say it started in 2010. I was working for Citibank. I was in Accenture at that time. Mm-hmm. And I was the only one knowing mainframe systems because I worked in Intel before, and we were doing programming in mainframe and all that.
Oh.
And I ended up being kind of the data person for that team because I was creating like test accounts and make sure that all the data was correct and all that to be able, to test all these personal banking stuff. And I kind of like it, because I was more into also querying stuff and working more with data. So then I moved to another company to work for Wells Fargo Bank. And I was there the lead for a QA team working on mortgages and all that. But then I got the opportunity to move to the data team for the automotive loans. And they were doing a lot of good things. At that time, they were working with Informatica, which is long time ago, doing data quality with Power Center and all these kind of things. And I started, my journey basically there. So I was doing data catalog and I was doing data glossary in Excel at that time because there were no such tools. And also doing kind of business analysis and gathering all the requirements. And I understood the disconnection. I mean, because you have plenty of data sources from the dealers, from the bank itself, from other banks or other, financial institutions, and you need to bring all this together. It could be Excel, could be mainframe, could be databases. It was everything. I worked with Oracle, Imagine, and Toad at that time, doing queries for testing and checking distributions and all that. And I basically fell in love with that. And I understood that I want to be this bridge because I saw a huge disconnection between business and the data team. So,
yes.
Yeah, and
that's a classic. That's a classic.
Yeah, for testing. And I also work as QA before, in software engineering. Then I understood, I always was this kind of bridge, like between people, non-data people or non-tech people to business. So I thought maybe I could apply this also in data and see how it goes.
Yeah, interesting. And obviously there's work to be done there. So obviously that's a role to fulfill. For me, I have never done, I have done a little bit of mainframe management, but that is very, very little. And basically, that was for archival and backup questions. So it's at the same time very archaic, very old school, like very, very old school, but it's also very educational in a sense because like basically talking about cloud solutions, it's still the same reality. It's just something that you don't see and you don't operate yourself, right? So that infrastructure, underlying infrastructure and logic is still there. I mean, of course, programming languages come and go, right? But still, so have you used that knowledge, that deep knowledge, mainframe knowledge, I dare even say, ongoingly? Is it something that you can rely on in terms of technical considerations?
I have seen it still in banking, pharma, and insurance because, all these security stuff that they manage. But I think the last time I used mainframe was around 2014. Yeah. And after that, I changed a lot in industries as well because I want to try different industries. So I was in telecommunications, cybersecurity, e-commerce, travel. So those other industries, they are not into mainframe. So yeah, I didn't use it anymore, but I know that it's heavily used still nowadays in these other industries. However, they have these private clouds and all these kind of things if they want to really go to the cloud, but a lot of them is still in on-prem. So
yeah. And there's a certain, impossibility of going out of a mainframe reality. I have worked a lot in industry myself, and if you have a factory, you really can't get out of a mainframe or on-premise reality. Like an assembly line simply sits somewhere, and you need to respect that. And in that assembly line sits embedded in machines, IT. You cannot pull that out of those machines. It wouldn't make any sense. So to a certain extent, and that goes for banking as well, that goes for insurance. You have a certain physical infrastructure that you can, of course, if you really insist, you can tear it apart and put it to the cloud, but there really is no point in it to a certain extent. So that is, we do see that, not that I'm a mainframe enthusiast at all, but it's just sometimes the discussions also get a little unrealistic, saying everything needs to move to the cloud. Well, everything can't move to the cloud, right?
Exactly.
But anyway, that's another discussion, but it's just very interesting because you see this rhetoric, and it's been going on for years that people say, okay, legacy on-premise technology. Well, yes and no, right? it, it is, of course, a legacy in the sense that it's old, but it's also just something where, like, you should really do an economic analysis of the consequences of moving this to the cloud, because it will get way more expensive.
Yeah.
You will lose the technical insights of how to actually run that infrastructure, and you will not really gain anything, because the factory or the insurance, I don't know, the mainframes in the financial sector are reliant to really run or operate the businesses. So yeah. Anyway, it's another discussion. It's a long one, but it's I need to rant more about that, but it's another discussion. So it's interesting you have that background. It's a deeply technical background, and it's interesting, obviously. Okay, so the next question I prepared for you is more about data governance and data catalogs. You worked in that space, using them, obviously, from the beginning. You mentioned data dictionaries maintained in Excel, and I really have nothing against that. I mean, if it works, by all means, I think people should just use Excel for those kind of things, but at a certain scale, obviously. And if you want to use it for delivering on certain capabilities, it will get a little difficult using Excel, right? But what's your impression on data governance and data catalogs, Amy?
Yeah, well, when I worked on that in 2013, 12, 13, I mean, there were no tools, right, at all. So it was like the only option. And I think this blow up stuff of data catalogs came late in the 2010s, maybe 2019, 18, and only a few tools. But I feel that most of them are raw still on the edges, and they might not deliver fully value to business users. I think still quite focused on the technical people. There are some tools around in the market that I'm trying to improve on that. Actually, your tool, I think that somehow focus more on discoverability, which is at the end the main goal, right? And I think that there is a hype now with this topic, and also with data mesh, and last year conferences were all about data mesh, data catalogs. This year is AI, data catalog, and governance. So you see this trend, right? It's just a buzzword some way, somehow. I think they are helpful, but also requires a good governance on top, because it's not only about having terms or have, the catalog for the tables or anything like that, not just glossaries. It's about also the quality. It's about data contracts. It's about if you want to have a data marketplace and be able to, distribute your data sets or your data products. It's also about business being able to do queries with AI, so they don't have to put something like a query because they don't know. They don't have to. And just ask, I need the revenue of this, and then they get an answer easily, I mean, data teams build that. My old team in my previous company will build up some kind of a Slack bot, and just to connect to the data sets we had in the cloud, in GCP, and then to get some answers. But this should be a one tool. And I see in a lot of companies now that they have, 10, 15 tools in the data platform, and everything is kind of connected, but not. So it's still very siloed in a way, in tool perspective. And what's the value of that at the end, right? It's for me, it's just too much overhead. And instead of simplify the access of data, at the end is about data democratization. It make it more complex. And usually people care just about being in the latest trends and not about delivering the real value of data. And that's always been the problem with data. How do you show off, this kind of value?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that is spot on. I mean, there's so many things I want to comment on there, but just first of all, I think there's some very healthy discussions going on in the data community these months. Been going on for perhaps a year, give and take, but you think you synthesize it nicely here, in the sense that there's too much overhead, too many siloed data tools, not delivering value. And paradoxically not focusing on the business, right? Not focusing on business users, but just being like aficionado technical tools for a very, very selected few engineers, right? And that at some point will stop. I think we're I think we're seeing the first signs of a reality that is the post-data era, if you can call it that, where people are realizing, okay, that many tools for so few employees, that's not going to work. You need to deliver way more value to the business. So that's obviously something that I have been focusing on a lot in my writing and thinking and roadmap design, technology roadmap design. So that is very, very important. I really do agree with you on that. Also, the fact that these technologies may have taken for granted that money was coming through VC funding and hype, and I guess to some extent the hype is still there. The money is not, and so that changes reality quite fast, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I noticed on your profile and in our exchange of ideas that you're working a lot with master data.
Yeah.
And you are also, as I said in the introduction prior to our conversation, you are a data mesh advocate. You are a data mesh MVP. And that means that obviously you must have thought a bit about this relation between master data and data mesh, and I'll get back to that in my next question. But first of all, my question is, so briefly, and then we can expand on it, but what is master data to you?
Well, in general, what I have seen, right, in master data is a set supposedly, because you know how it is, sometimes it doesn't happen, like the main information or the core information that should be like the only source or the respected source for certain data, for example, customer, product orders, inventory, for an e-commerce company, for example. So it's easier for the people to understand. And these data, it's the one basically used to do things, for example, contracts or customer information or stuff like that, that cannot be changed easily. Mm-hmm. And some people understand master data differently. Mm-hmm. And I have seen this because Google has a definition there in their website that is quite off from the real master data management, that it's actually master data management is being for many, many years at the table, right? I think since the 90s or something, even that I was speaking with a person that is already, you know, like a guru in data, and it's from the 80s, 90s person. And we were talking about that master data, it's been there forever for this kind of bigger companies. Yeah. Now it's been adopted more in smaller companies. But the idea is to have this single source of truth where metadata is also very important, and it belongs already to certain teams. So if we see there, the relationship with data mesh is domain driven, right? So if you are product, if you are inventory, if you are customer, if you are, leads or something like that, then there are certain teams that manage these data. And it's kind of the same mentality of data mesh, right? To have one domain with a certain flow of data that will take care of this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sure. I have to ask, what is wrong with that definition that you can find on Google on master data? If you don't care, I mean, if you're okay with going into details on that,
they try to make it look more like governance and also data as you see it in BigQuery, for example, just data sets. Oh. And that's not the reality, you know. It's not about having just HR data, but, you know, everything. And it's not about everything that you have. There are certain fields, certain things that you need to take in consideration to be put on a master data that usually don't get updated that often. Yeah. You know, like, IDs or name of people, addresses, certain things that you maintain because they are not changing that often. And creating these new records and also maintaining this kind of historical data through the years for auditing and these kind of things. And for Google, we're more like curated data sets, but it includes kind of everything. So for them, basically, most of the stuff were master data management. I don't know if I can.
No, but that is more than enough of explanation. I mean, I get it, and I think, Amy, that is really, really to the point. I have to say, because I have been in many master data discussions with people that are. So, let me just say it out loud. I've met master data people that in my career that honestly, like completely honestly, I don't think they were very good at their job. So now I said it. And then I've met a few people that were really, really, really good at master data, like really on an international level, where I thought, okay, I have a chance now to work with people that are really good at master data. But I haven't met a lot of those people. And one of the things that I see again and again is exactly what you're saying there, that people think in terms of master data as something that just it mission creeps, right? It gets applied too much in every single context, and that is not master data. In order for master data to work, you need to define the scope very precisely and go in that element and of data and say, okay, for products, this is how a product looks. This is how we model a product in our company, and not
just grab everything in.
Now, my most extreme example is batteries. I had a long discussion in a previous position about like the lifetime of, or the duration, the power duration of a battery. Was that master data or not? And I was like, do we need to set up a governance board for this? Really? Do we really need that? There's one data engineer interested in this data set. So do we need to call the entire business and have a meeting and do a modeling and wait 3 months for this to happen? I mean, so it's just an example, right? But it tells you that master data is something that it's a rigorous process. You really have to get a lot of people on board, a lot of people to agree. And that's because it's very important. When you do it, it needs to run the business, and therefore it needs to take time, right? Anyway, I'm beginning to rant here, but I like you point this out, Amy.
Yeah. For example, now we are trying in my current company. I just been there for a month and a half. I work for BayWa area, which is kind of a green energy. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of like legal entities, and they have like wind and solar and water energy and all these kind of things. And now, for example, we're looking for the way to be able to sell to the business why we are doing a new HR employee data to be shareable across multiple holdings. And for them, it's quite difficult to understand because they have Workday, they have Salesforce, they have these kind of things that generates kind of a lot of data and some master data. But we want to put it in the data platform team in where we are managing all the master data that is relevant as a data product, like in the marketplace. And we only want certain data because, for example, it's super easy. You are in Denmark, I'm here, and you're my boss. And then I need an interim boss here in Germany to be able to ask for my hardware, for example, or approve my vacations or something, because the systems are not really connecting, and they have to go to like 10 systems to try to figure out this information and to understand who is my real manager in Denmark. So this kind of information, if we make it to, pass through us, and then we have all these records of master data, and we integrate this with the different systems from different countries, then, it's much easier for these people to come, okay, I have this data product, we need to create an inventory of hardware, and we know who is the manager, and now we don't need an interim manager, but because we can connect all these information together, and they can do better analysis, and they can do a lot of things. But that's the understanding, okay, we have an HR domain and we have a lot of data there, but how would you present this as a valuable data set or a valuable set of master data to be consumed by different teams and consume only what they need and straight to the point? They don't need to see, thousands of columns, thousands of fields. It's just what they need. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm having a bit of an aha moment here because obviously I knew this, but it's the way you explain it is master data as a sort of filtering. It's actually a way of searching data, just predefined search from the master data team so that people looking or searching for certain data won't get drowned in enormous data sets with irrelevant information in them. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And master data is about critical operational business data. It's not about, as you said, the how long these batteries stay alive or things that doesn't really, we don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's important for one, like if one the situation was one software engineer very interested in creating a little app that would warn users of hearing instruments, like how long time do I have left on my battery. It's not nice if you're at a party and you have if you have decreased hearing capabilities. It's not nice that your hearing instrument runs out of battery in the middle of a party, right? You want to know in advance that you need to recharge or change it. That's it. You don't need 7,000 people agreeing on that, right? On the definition of the duration of a lifetime of batteries, right?
And
so
that's just a data product and a small data product for the same domain, but not necessarily master data, just a curated data set that will provide this information, and they can build up a model, a dashboard, an app, whatever they want. But you need to separate these worlds, right? It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. And that is something where, yeah, I've seen that a lot, where people get into like master data discussions right from the get-go. And that is not, I think, a sound approach. Anyway, I think you just explained how this relates to data mesh quite nicely. Like that was my next question. Where do you see the relation between master data and data mesh? But I guess to sum it up, when does master data apply in a data mesh? You more or less already answered this, but if you can say it in a couple of sentences, I think for the listeners that would be nice.
Sure. We have, as I mentioned, right now in my current company, HR. We have suppliers, we have vendors, we have products, different domains. And each domain, besides the normal data products that you can get there, I don't know, machine learning models or the curated data sets for predictive analytics or whatever you want to do with it, you have each of these teams also maintain the master data of this specific domain. So it's really easy actually, because it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you have a product, you manage the master data there as well. Yeah. And what do you need? You also need data quality. So you already put on top of all these data, regardless if it's going to be part of the master data management set or of the predictive analytics or any other data product, you need to bring quality on top. So it's easy just to put the same thing. Why would you hire a different team just for data management if you already have a team working with that type of data? So, it's about utilizing what you have. And that's something nice from data mesh, because you can have this person from expert in MDM, in your data engineer, and I don't know, a data analyst. And if you are a stream-aligned, then you have in the background this backend engineer and the product manager. And then all of them maintain this stream. So it's much easier when you have to communicate. And nicely will be like, this is what we're doing now, putting this master data management as well as data as a product. So it's also a data product now. It's not only going to be master data that the people consume from X tool, but more like, okay, I can explore it, I can look for it, I can understand if I need it, and then how I can use this. So I can ask you for permission to get this data, source it for my other team, let's say product with suppliers, and then, join it and work on whatever report you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is nice, and I think that is very needed. This explanation both for the listeners, for the data mesh community, the data community in general. I think is in need of this distinction and understanding of master data in relation to data mesh. So thank you, Amy. And so my last question here is more about future. Where do you see the future of data and AI going? What's on the horizon in terms of of data and AI? How do you see that?
I laugh because this is a question that you are seeing everywhere now, and I have my bold opinion of it.
Great.
Disagree.
Great. Let's get it out, Amy. What do you think?
The thing is, I also have a side business where I give workshops and, for data management and a lot of things. And one of them is AI strategy. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's quite interesting when I speak to C-levels or to management. We have the FOMO. We want to jump right now into AI. What can we do? I want a chatbot. And first of all, I also give mentorship in the mentoring club. And I remember one time that I got this startup that came for free advice, right? And they were like, okay, I have a data engineer and I think it was MongoDB and I don't know what else. I want to do AI. Do you think my data engineer can do AI? And I was I'm sorry. No. I'm like, but are you doing quality? And they said, yeah, no, I mean, we are just starting. We just hired a guy and he's going to come and immediately the first project we want to do is AI for this platform. And I'm like,
poor guy. Yeah.
Exactly. And then even in one of the companies that I work, I organized a workshop, with the directors and everything. And we had also a speaker and all that. And we did this workshop. And it was about discovering the right use case. And I think that's something very important. You have certain data. Yes. Does it have enough quality? If you don't know, why are you going to start with AI? Start from the beginning, from the basis, right? Go and try the data quality and check those things. Trash in, trash out. Yeah. So better check on those things. Then what is your goal with this? Is this bringing value or not? Mm-hmm. And then, let's describe the 3, 4, 5 use cases that you might have to see if this is going to really generate you some, let's say, leads or customer satisfaction or something. But you need to clean up the house first and make sure your data platform, first of all, is good enough that you can actually build up a product out of it, that you have the right people with the right knowledge, because if you don't invest in your talents, then it's quite difficult for them to bring something that will generate real value. I know there are out-of-the-box tools, but why would you spend money on another tool if you can invest in your talent to, work on these kind of topics? And also at the end of this workshop, we did it, the use case and all that. I sent the customer satisfaction survey, and it was, we already know about AI strategy. Why are we bringing this again to the topic? So this is not new. And for me, the answer was like, okay, this is not new, but we are not really doing it. So it's about just to jump in the train of AI and move forward. And I think, for the future, back to your question, right? This is going to bring so many problems. For example, in Europe, with GDPR, with privacy. I was speaking to a friend the other time, and he was telling me he was in an AI presentation, and there was a lady who presented about fraud with AI. And for example, there was a guy like hanging a image here with some letters that said, there was 2 guys next to each other. Please don't mention that I'm in this picture. And then you ask to ChatGPT, can you describe the picture? And the picture will describe only one person, but not the guy who has this. And you see that there are many gray areas there that you need to take in consideration. And now when people is just jumping in these things, they are not thinking. And what are the consequences of just implement things? How many hackers you can get? How many people can do this prompt engineering? And, we had SQL injection before. Now it's going to be prompt engineering to full AI. And maybe get back information, financial information, customer information out of it. We don't know what it could be done yet. We don't have the capabilities. So I think we will learn with a lot of pain.
Yeah, I don't think the marketing team agrees, but I would love to make that the title of this episode. But thank you so much, Amy, for this statement. I do think that you are onto something, quite honestly. So it'll be interesting to follow what happens. And that's the end of the conversation. I want to thank also, I want to first of all thank you, Amy, for coming on. I also want to thank our listeners. We have a growing number of listeners, and I'm very happy about that. I'm very thankful for that. So thank you for everyone that listens. Remember that you can listen to our podcast on every single platform that was it. Thank you very much, Amy, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Ole. I had a lot of fun. It was a good discussion. I mean, I think we can speak for hours now.
Yeah, sure we can, and we should. I'm happy to keep talking also at conferences in the future.
Yeah, perfect. See you soon, and thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
You too.